In case you didn't know, I mean, I kind of showed you in a second ago, but I rap. I can rap. I've been rapping for 26 years, okay? Since I was 18. Like publicly on stages, stuff like that, all right? So I started out secular, but I never cussed, and so it was like people always thought about me real positive. I didn't rap about ladies. I just like to battle and be on stage and break dance, or not break. I couldn't really break dance, but fake break dance, all that other good stuff. I did that. Now, when I got saved, I really struggled. It was 2001, the end of 2001, when I really gave my life to Christ as an adult after I graduated from college. I was 22 years old. My father was about to pass away. Whole bunch of stuff going on. But I joined a church. I got baptized in January of 2002, literally the day after my father was buried. And I was like, okay, because of what I was trying to do in being faithful and all in, I said, I'm not listening to secular music. Just listening to God music. Man, that was hard. Because I'm a hip-hop head. I was like Nas, Wu-Tang, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, EPMD, and I ain't even left really New York yet. I mean, Outkast, Goody Mob, Scarface was one of my first album cassette tapes. I was like 12. I didn't know there were unedited versions at that point. I learned then when I got the Scarface tape. But that was my soundtrack for life. That's the stuff I listened to. And you expect me to listen to Kirk Franklin and be okay? You expect me to listen to Fred Hammond and be good? Now, I appreciate who they are. I appreciate what they do. But when I asked somebody, I still remember this, and I've seen this in articles from way back in the day, like, is there anything close to hip-hop for Christians? Like, somebody recommended me Kirk Franklin, and I got the Rebirth CD, Rebirth of Kirk Franklin. It's really old. I put that thing in. I was like, this ain't nothing close to hip-hop. And so one of my boys at the first church I was serving at made a bootleg mix CD. Y'all remember mix CDs? You just get all your favorite songs, burn them. He burned a bunch of Christian rap artists. I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was about to die. Some of it was really whack, but some of it was really great. And I was like, okay, I can deal with this. I didn't know Christians rap. I just didn't know what I was going to do. I was going to be faithful. And so I was able to stay I don't think I listened to secular music for about 3 or 4 years, like at all. I was aware of who was out, but I just dove in. And so by end of 02, beginning of 03, I was rapping myself, rapping by faith, not just, doing what I used to do. And the long story short is I started getting some notice, and they used to have 3 main Christian hip hop events. They were all on the East Coast. And so in New York, they had Rap Fest. And Rap Fest started in like the mid-90s. It was a Christian rap festival, exactly what it says. In Tampa, which we just saw the ad for, there was at Crossover Church, there was Flavor Fest, okay? And so the third one was in Atlanta. It was called the Holy Hip Hop Awards. The Holy Hip Hop Awards. They don't have it anymore, and I don't think Rap Fest happens anymore. But the Holy Hip Hop Awards, and they always would give out honorary awards to people that were making a huge impact in the genre. I didn't even know it was big enough to be its own genre, but there were people that had been putting it down since really mid-'80s into the early 90s across the country. And so I submitted some music so I could go there, and I got accepted. I got a 5-minute set. It wasn't long, but I got a 5-minute set. I got to go up and on stage in Atlanta, after Canton Jones. Y'all know who Canton Jones is? So this was 20 years ago, and it was an 04 or 05, like 04 or 05, and the big song he was doing was called The Password. And he still sings it every now and then. But I went on after him, got great feedback, made a lot of connections, and it gave me gas. I went in the next year, I went even harder, okay? Doing it for the Lord. I was performing everywhere they let me. Churches, where I would have to sit the old folks down and be like, okay, before I even start performing, let me help you understand. Please, you may not relate to the beats, but please listen to the lyrics, because I promise you I'm evangelizing the words of the Lord. If you can listen, I promise you it'll edify, it'll be a blessing to your kids, blah, blah, blah. So I'd do that, and then I would go perform in nightclubs. In fact, when I did the release party for my mixtape in like 06, 07, I did it in a bar called The Library on Franklin Street in Chapel Hill. And so I was not afraid of performing wherever, whenever, however. I was taking this word. And so I got accepted the first time to perform. I submitted the next year and got accepted to perform again. I think I had a 10-minute set. And what happened the first time was I went with a crew of dudes that were had different functions. Somebody did Christian remixes. Another dude was a radio personality, et cetera, et cetera. And so they took care of everything the previous time. And we had stayed close throughout the next year. I got accepted again. I thought we were all going to go travel again. And so what happened is it's getting close to the time to get ready to go down to Atlanta. And I'm reaching out like, hey, what's the plan? What we're doing? And they kind of like, well, we don't know if we're going. It's going to kind of, whatever. You just have to get down there by yourself. Like, get down. But what? Y'all just been stringing me along with the crew the whole time and knew that I got invited and just gonna leave me out to dry. Like, how? I'm just supposed to, I'm not even old enough to rent a car yet. I'm 22, 23. You had to be 25 at the time. And I don't know if that's still true. I don't know. But I couldn't even rent a car. I didn't want to put my car, which was, alive. I didn't want to put it through that kind of stuff, that kind of travel. And so I was really, and I mean really disheartened, really frustrated, because these are supposed to be my dudes. I'm going to support everything they're doing. They're supporting stuff I'm doing. And when it comes time to do this big thing, I'm the only one performing. I was the only one to perform the previous time, the only one performing this time. And I'm kind of left out to dry. And so I made the decision. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going. I'm not going. I'm mad. I'm not going. So the day before, I was supposed to, it was supposed to be happening. DJ KP, one of my boys, I am grateful to him for him to this day, reached out like, hey man, I heard about that. You're not going? What are you doing? Like, man, look, we'll ride down with you. We'll go down with you. Him and, what's the other dude's name? Cell D. And so, I was so set in my hurt. I still said no. I said, no, man, forget that. I'm done. I ain't messing with none of them. And so I didn't go. And when I look back at it, not even now, but a couple of years later, when I look back and look at what I missed out on, right? The opportunity to connect with more people, to develop more prominence, to possibly get more connections and travel to more places. Y'all got to understand, in my mind, I could have been close to where some of these other prominent artists are today. Me and Lecrae were releasing our first albums at the same time. Y'all understand that? He's been in the game 20 years. I was opening up for some of the same groups he was opening up for. You understand? I was opening up for dudes out of New York. I was opening up for dudes that came out from California. This group called LA Symphony that was on a national tour. This artist called Plato. I was opening up for these guys that had national contacts, and I was getting more exposure. And if I had not let my hurt feelings take away my real perspective and see the big picture, then my output and impact could have been much greater. And I can't get that back. I mean, I was 24, 25, and I'm 44, right? Now, the game has changed because hip-hop is 50. If I wanted to start making albums again, Nas done released 5 albums in the last 12 seconds. And so I can do it, and I probably will. But there's a different audience for grown man hip-hop than there is for, teenage, get crunk, get hype, jump around hip-hop, right? Yeah. And so I never can get that back. I can be faithful with what I have now, and I'm trying to be. That's why I made myself do the song today, so I can, be faithful with what I got. Because I literally have albums, multiple albums that were that are never released. I got 10 songs I wrote during the pandemic, performed them one time, and have never released them. Right? I'm about as bad as this one that got a whole bunch of unreleased music himself. Yeah, point him out and put him on the spot. He's got music that needs to come out. But I have to be a good example, so I got to get my own stuff together, right? So we lose perspective, and in a very real way, we lose out. And I wanted to share that because sometimes you lose out and God don't fix it. God lets you walk with the consequences of your actions. And so the impact I could have had, I'll never know. Now, God can make beauty from ashes. but its ashes I burned. Right? The enemy tried to influence me, but it was me. It was me. In the same sense that it's this son. All right? So there's a cost to loss perspective. And so in this text, let's revisit it.